Hey guys, I'm back with the build that I had yesterday. Now, I wanted to go into a bit more detail about it because A, the first part of my video didn't render so you couldn't see my positioning guide, and B, I didn't get a chance to talk about why you should build it and the matchups that it's good into. So, essentially the core build is Dragon Knights, but instead of using Venom, you use Winter Charuk Terran, and instead of going to level 9 and using Soul Reaper for the Agursis bonus, you actually bring in something like a Tortola Elder to give yourself, the Mage bonus. So essentially you're playing on the magic damage over time from Dragon Knight alongside the damage coming out from your normal knights, so like Lightblade Knight and Hell Knight, and so you're kind of doing more burst orientated Dragon Knights instead of kind of surviving orientated Dragon Knights. You can see the positioning on the right here, hopefully. That is just a basic corner positioning. You want your Tortola in the back position though, the one that's closest to the corner. This reduces the angles that he has to shoot from, so that makes it more likely that his ultimate or his ability is going to hit as many people as possible. You then want to put Dragon Knight just above him and Lightblade Knight in the middle. The reason you put Lightblade Knight in the middle is because you want to protect her as much as possible, but you can't put her at the top left, so you protect her in the middle. In terms of matchups, this is good versus other mages. It's pretty good versus warrior, although a high-rolling beast warrior will beat you. It's pretty good versus gods, as long as they don't have like an insane high-roll god comp. And it's pretty decent versus hunters. Now, it's going to struggle because you don't have much utility. The only thing that you have to be aware of here is you don't have any spare pieces to add utility things like Dark Spirit. You don't have any spare pieces to add things like a Storm Shaman, which is going to help you versus mages even more. You are kind of stuck with the build that it is at level 9. Plus, you need to get to level 9 to make it work, and that means that you need to have a really good early game plan, and you need to be able to sort of survive long enough. It's also quite reliant on getting 2 stars and at least some 3 stars on your Lightblade Knight and your Hell Knight. Otherwise, it can feel a little bit lackluster. And to use Tortola Elder, you do need to have Magicka Crystals. If you don't have Magicka Crystals, I would recommend going for Thunder Spirit, putting Dragon Knight where Tortola is right now, moving Lightblade Knight over to the left and putting Thunder Spirit in the middle. The reason I recommend Thunder Spirit is he generates mana a bit more quickly than Tortola Elder does because of his attack speed. However, if you can get this build to work, it is very powerful. Switch giveaway, by the way, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and then comment on the video. Make sure you add that comment. It's important. That gets you the entry for the Switch giveaway, which will be done in about 7 days. My boy Claytano doing a PS4 giveaway. So what I've done again for this video is I've actually sped it up once more. I've done it in 2 times. The reason I've done it in 2 times is because there's a lot of waiting around in auto chess. And actually, even in 2 times, you can still see the fights fairly clearly. So I put it in 2 times for the reason that I just want to be able to sort of get through the rounds and talk about it more, more importantly. There isn't actually much with this build when it comes down to positioning. You'll see some positioning at the end that I want to talk about, but realistically, most of this build is about making good early game decisions and getting into a Dragon Knight build. So as you can see here, I locked an early round to go for a God of War and two Tusk champions. I always, if I get 3 really good like 1-cost units on the first round, I will always lock them. The reason I'm always going to lock them is because I'd much rather run the risk of just getting those guys as pairs and then picking them up as a 2-cost later on. Because I just think it's the best overall game plan. You'll see me do this a lot with goblins. You'll see me lock, and you see I got rewarded there. You'll see me lock goblins a lot if I get like 2 Skybreakers and a Soulbreaker, because I want those pairs of S tier units. So I've ended up with a God of War 2 and a Tusk Champion 2. This was because I made that decision at round 1. Again, I like to lock 3 S tier 1-cost units because you have 3 gold to spend. The question that I always ask myself on the first round is, would I actually would I like lock, sorry, not lock, that's what I'm trying to say here. Would I choose this if this were my second round shop? That's the one I'm trying to phrase it as. Would I choose 2 Tusk Champions and a God of War if it were my second round shop? Yes. I also get rewarded by getting the Lightblade Knight 2. This is very lucky. I'd say that the God of War and the Tusk Champion were fairly lucky, but it was a result of the decision that I made round 1. The Lightblade Knight was complete luck, and Lightblade Knight 2 is incredibly powerful. Super powerful in the early rounds because of the ricochets, so I really like Lightblade Knight 2, and it just means that it's going to give me a lot of damage in these early rounds. You see me pick up Abyssal Guard and Poisonous Worm here. The reason I've done that is because there is a good chance that I could have gone Beast Warrior this game. I'm going to do a video about that about Beast Warrior this week, but I actually think Beast Warrior is coming back into meta. You might realize a few updates ago Warrior got nerfed, and therefore Beast Warrior took a big hit and no one is building it. I think Beast Warrior is in a really good spot right now because a lot of the current meta compositions, the ones that everyone are building, are all kind of level 9 focused. You're seeing God Mages, you're seeing Dragon Mages, you're seeing 6 Mages. All of these need level 9 to really be effective on a regular game. So you have a slow game where people are focused on building economy. The thing about Beast Warriors is that it's a level 8 composition. You can snowball it from the early rounds, you can roll aggressively, and you can just punish these people before they get their economies going. So if you like Beast Warriors, try it out this week. I'm going to be doing a video on it as well, but I do think Beast Warriors are in a really good spot right now. There isn't much that I'm doing right now in the early game. You'll notice that I've become a bit of a fan of early rolling, only when I've really got something to roll for. The reason that I'm early rolling in this game is there are 2 other knight players, or at least 2 other people picking up knights specifically, and then there is a guy that's playing hunter knights. So I need to be a little bit more aggressive with my rolling strategy, just simply because it is important to try and find as many knights as possible. And you can see here that I'm rolling when I'm below 10 gold, just because I want to try and pick up all of these knights. And you can see I've now got a pair of evil knights, I've got another Lightblade knight to work with. So actually, like, I've set myself up pretty nicely for this mid game. And a lot of that's coming down to the early rolling. As long as I'm leveling up on curve and able to keep my composition alive by leveling up on curve, I am very happy to roll down to 0. When I would start saving instead of rolling down to 0 would be around level 7. So let's say that at round 13 I got to level 7. I would sometimes roll down, I would sometimes then start to save to 50 gold, because I'm not going to get to level 8 very quickly. So it's much better to try and save to 50 gold, especially when you're running a composition like this. So a composition like this is level 9. You do need to be level 9 to make this work. Something that you've noticed that I've picked up in my bag, I've picked up magic crystals and a ring of life. I'm saving these obviously for an orb of refresh. You know, you want to give yourself the best opportunity to get an orb of refresh. I actually pick up an egg. Now, I wouldn't always pick up an egg in this scenario. The reason I wouldn't always pick up an egg in this scenario is that sometimes your economy cannot sustain taking 5 gold for the off chance that you can use it 20 rounds down the line. But my economy can sustain it because my composition is so strong. My composition right now is probably unbeatable, at least until around 15, 16, 17. So I've got another 5 rounds of essentially free win streak from what I can see right now. Other than that, I just need to save and sort of go. I'm probably going to go to level 7 at the next round. But yeah, I think my composition is fairly unbeatable until we hit later into the game. Now you might wonder why I've positioned like this. I'm going to tell you why I position like this because it's kind of specific for the composition that I'm running. If you look at the units that I've got on the board, you can see that I've basically got 2 warriors at 2-star, and I've got knights. I want the knights to be towards the back, but I don't want them to be so far towards the back that they take a little while to engage. So what I do is I put my God of War and my Tusk Champion at the front. They will take the initial hits of damage. Then my Evil Knight and my Agali Knight will jump into the fight. By the time, it will be about 1.5 or 2 seconds into the fight, and they should, if the chances allow me, generate a Knight Shield. And that Knight Shield, obviously, is going to give them massive defenses. So that's why I've positioned like this. Sometimes you'll see me position in a line, but when I've got my knights like this, I want to give them a bit of breathing room before they actually engage the fight, because then I want them to essentially be given that time to generate a Knight Shield. So you see here, by the time my Evil Knight got to the front lines, he already had a Knight Shield on him, which means he's already taking less damage, and that's actually just making my Evil Knight rather much tankier. So we're going into the Wolf round with just an insane win streak, which is obviously really good. We want to go into the Wolf round with a win streak because we maintain that win streak over the wolf round, whatever happens. I'm obviously going to beat the wolves with the strength of my composition, but I maintain the win streak even if I lose versus the wolves. So I actually get that extra gold for free without actually having to beat anybody good. I also pick up about 50 Magicka crystals. It's actually insane. I do also get the Orb of Refresh items, which is just also a brilliant outcome. Now, you're not going to get Orb of Refresh every game. An Orb of Refresh is definitely a major proponent. So what you're going to see me doing here is now I've picked up Dragon Knight. This is basically time to fully commit to the Knight Dragon's ethos, which means getting rid, unfortunately, of a lot of the guys that helped me through earlier on. But getting Dragon Knight on the field, actually, I think overall reduces the strength of my composition. But what I've done is I've sold off units that have helped boost my economy ever so slightly. Because, like I said, I needed to get to level 9 to make this composition work. I started selling off units that I started selling off units that no longer benefit me. The God of War still benefits me, but Tusk Champion was getting to the point where he didn't benefit me anymore. And so it's important for me to get to 50 gold. You can see here that I'm kind of in an okay spot, but I'm much weaker than I was previously because Dragon Knight level 1 isn't actually that good of a unit. So I'm actually just in a slightly weaker spot than I was previously, which means I lose, but that's okay. It's okay to lose at this point. The reason it's okay to lose at this point is because we're nearly at 50 gold. So once we're at 50 gold, we're going to simply play around the 50 gold barrier to just generate interest and then get to level 9. I was completely okay with losing at this point for that very reason. I could have run with the composition that I had previously, but it would take me a round extra potentially to get to 50 gold. Whereas this time round, I did it this way and it didn't take me as long to get to 50 gold. I'm going to get to 50 gold on round 19, which means I can then start investing to get to level 8 and then eventually to level 9. And then when I'm at those positions, I'm looking to get the level 2s that I need in this composition. And core level 2s are pretty much all of your knights and Dragon Knight especially. And then you want to try and look for a level 2 Tortola Elder to make sure that you've got a really big amount of burst damage coming from your Mage proponent. So now we're at 50 gold. We're going to hit level 8 quite nicely after round 20. We didn't go for the early level up to level 8. The reason we didn't do that is because we obviously lost our win streak, so there's no point. But we went to... And also we had nothing good to bring on. Like, there was nothing that was going to be game-changing to bring on if I went up to level 8 early. So what I've done is I've just done a more basic... I didn't see who said hi X to me there, actually. That's a shame. I've done a more basic strategy for getting to level 8, which is just getting to 50 gold and using the interest to get there. So we're kind of in the stage of the game now where we're basically just going to be getting to level 8 and trying to look for 2 stars and 3 stars. So I'm going to skip ahead ever so slightly, just to the point where we're at a bit more interesting place. Mainly when I'm level 8, maybe when I've got the mages on as well. So that's what I'm going to skip ahead to now. And you'll just see me, this is the fully activated Dragon Knight comp, by the way. We're fully activated on the Dragon Knight comp, just with using the Winter Terran instead of the Venom. We're actually not as strong as a lot of the other guys. I mean, if you look at how high rolly this God player is, you know we're in a pretty rough spot. But yeah, I'm gonna skip ahead to a point where a bit more interesting part of the game, because right now I'm just going through rounds, investing gold into experience and looking for 2 stars. Once we get that, we're in a good spot. But I'm going to show you, I'm going to sort of move ahead to a slightly more interesting part of the game, maybe when we're just about to hit level 9. Alright, we didn't skip ahead very far here. We actually just skipped over to the next neutral round, because at this point I'm actually hitting level 9. So I actually pick up a 3-star Frost Knight, which is great. And what I'm looking for now is a Tortola Elder. Now we've got our Mage bonus online, we can actually start to make our Orb of Refresh, which is going to be huge, obviously, for Tortola Elder. And we can also give him some skill damage increase. So we've actually got one of the most high-rolly Tortola Elders I've ever had in terms of items. And you can see that we immediately start beating the... We immediately start beating the high rolly God player because we've added that burst mage component to our composition. So at this point, we are now just looking for as many 2 stars, many 3 stars as physically possible. In this composition, the 3 stars that we want are Lightblade Knight, we want Hell Knight, and if you can really help it, it'd be great if you can get Dragon Knight. What I'm seeing here is a load of Dragon Knights. I wouldn't usually commit to Dragon Knights, but because I'm seemingly finding so many, I said to myself, let's just go for a 3-star Dragon Knight. Because we're finding so many, and at level 9 you have a pretty high chance, I literally rolled the next round and found another Dragon Knight. So I was like, yeah, okay, we're going to go for a 3-star Dragon Knight this game. I also want a 2-star Tortella Elder, and yes, like I said, big upgrades for me would be a 3-star Hell Knight and a 3-star Lightblade Knight. But overall, we're in a pretty good spot. You can see that we're beating most other Mage players because of that Tortella Elder, but it's not the only reason that we're beating these other Mage players. Another reason that we're beating these Mage players is because our front line and most of our Knights are very, very good versus Mages. There's another Dragon Knight, by the way. I actually sell off a Lightblade Knight to buy it. Most of our Knights are very good versus Mages. The reason being is that they have a very high chance every 2 seconds to proc a shield that gives them a lot of magic resist, which helps them deny a lot of the burst that Mages have. You can see here that like I'm taking a load of magic damage from these guys, but actually because I'm getting so many Knight shields up, I'm not actually receiving much damage at all. And that's what makes this composition really strong versus other Mage players and versus specifically other Dragon Mage players. You might notice that I passed up on God of Thunder here. You might think, why did you pass up on God of Thunder? The reason I passed up on God of Thunder is because God of Thunder outside of gods actually isn't that good. He's so random with how many people he can hit with his ability. He's much less consistent than just having a Tortella Elder. Tortella Elder just gives you a flat amount of damage that you know that you're going to be working with. And so I decided to stay with Tortella Elder, especially if I get him to 2, because his wave is going to hit people regardless. God of Thunder sometimes will one-shot the entire enemy team, and sometimes will just hit one member of the enemy team and do nothing. So it's worth noting that if you get the option for God of Thunder, it's not always the best option. That's why I prefer Tortella Elder. It also means Tortella Elder, if you get to level 10, if you really want to, you can bring on a Pirate Captain, and that Pirate Captain gives you a 4 human bonus, which increases the chances of silencing of your Tortella Elder, your Dragon Knight, and your Agali Knight. So that's what I would bring on if I were to go to level 10 in this composition. Or you bring on a Helicopter because you have the Mage bonus, or you bring on a something like a Storm Shaman, just any kind of utility piece, a Dark Knight, a Dark Spirit. You see that the God player is starting to beat me now. Unfortunately, I can't position specifically for him, just because there are a lot of other players in this game that would require me to keep a corner position. So you're seeing here that I'm actually switching over to the other corner. The reason I switched over to the other corner is because actually versus most people it won't matter, but versus the God player, if I switch over to this corner, I can maybe get some of my damage past his God of War. You see that this is the other Dragon Knight player. We just about end up beating him. Again, like, it's so important in Dragon Knights and Dragon Mages to get a 2-star Dragon Knight. 2-star Dragon Knight gives you the splash damage over a large area. I also pick up, by the way, a 3-star Dragon Knight with the egg there. That is a huge upgrade for me. 3-star Dragon Knight is actually insane. And he puts me in a really good position in this game, even versus the guy who's got double Marine, even versus the God player as well. You can see the God player at the top of your screen right now versus my 3-star Dragon Knight. He actually ends up losing, which is huge. And now we're in a 3-way tie between me, a really high-rolly Hunter player, and a really high-rolly God player, and I'm being the really high-rolly Dragon Knight player. We've all had a really good game in terms of the picks that we've got. Something else to note is that I'm now looking for a 3-star Hell Knight. That 3-star Hell Knight is going to be the main source of my tanking. He's going to be able to just take the damage from me, and I actually pick up something that gives me Heart of Tarask. Now, for those of you that don't know, Heart of Tarask is an absolutely insane item. It gives you a massive amount of HP regeneration based on your maximum health. So if you've stacked up a single unit with a load of health and then you have Heart of Tarask on them, they actually just can't die. I mean, obviously they can die, but they can't really die. It's just actually ridiculous. So if I get Hell Knight to 3-star, we're in a situation where he is going to be very difficult to kill. So one thing you're noting here is that actually over the course of this game, we are kind of losing to the Hunter player, beating the God player. It's all a bit random when it comes to 6 Knights, because if you get really good shields, then you're going to beat most people. If you don't get really good shields, you're not going to beat most people. So this is the Hunter player. He's got a Siren, as you can see, with the Marine bonus. He's actually reducing the amount of magic damage that I do. And I getting locked up by CC means that it's very difficult for me to win here. So I'm essentially just going to switch back over to the other side, because I feel like I've got a better chance at beating the Hunter player if I have a bit more time to generate my shields. So I want to be on the opposite side of the board to him if I can, which is why I've switched over here. Sometimes the game is literally just about switching back and forth between the two sides. You can see here that Hell Knight, even at 2-star with Heart of Tarask, is very difficult to kill. I'm actually going to end up going down. Oh, no, I don't. I actually win this one. That's insane. But everybody's kind of losing to everybody at this point. Now, we find a 3-star Hell Knight, which, by the way, is insane with Heart of Tarask. And now we're looking for a 3-star Lightblade Knight. I actually don't think that I win this game without a 3-star Lightblade Knight. That's the situation that we're in right now. I don't think I win this game without a 3-star Lightblade Knight. Just because I'm going to be lacking damage that isn't magic damage. And especially versus this Hunter player, he's got a very good Marine front line. It's actually going to be difficult for me to beat this Hunter player if I don't have the 3-star Lightblade Knight to help me out down the line. So you can see that it's basically now just rolling for a 3-star Lightblade Knight. Now, I think there is part of me with the strength of my composition that should have waited and maybe built up enough gold to go for a level 10 to go for the pirate bonus. But overall, I'm kind of like in this game. I thought, well, it's probably better to just look for a Lightblade Knight. So we find Heaven's Gift as well, which is actually just fantastic. And we find yet more life crystals and more Magicka crystals. I actually give my Magicka crystals to my Frost Knight. He actually can generate a lot of damage if you give him Magicka crystals. So that's what I've been doing. I've just been giving him Magicka crystals to generate mana so he can get a lot of single target damage off. Frost Knight is kind of underrated in long fights, especially in 6 Knights. He's kind of underrated because like, it takes him a while. I think what I would have done, you saw that I picked up a resistance cloak. I don't know if you saw that I picked up a resistance cloak, but I actually would have given that to my Tortola Elder if we had got into the situation where my Tortola Elder was going up against the Mage player. Because actually he's been dying to the Storm Shaman. So if I give him the resistance cloak, he might actually survive. So I'm actually versus this Marine, Hunter player now. So I actually start to think about different styles of positioning. I'm actually just testing things out at this situation. I put my Tortola Elder over on the side because I felt like he might be able to escape the CC from the Tsunami Stalker. That was not the case, so that was a mistake. So I'm just thinking about other ways to position my composition as we go along here, because as you can see, like, I am actually losing to this guy, and that's a bit of a tough situation. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move a little bit more towards the, well, I go back to the corner first of all. But you're going to see me change things up very soon, because there is a different way to position versus this guy, which will help me at least separate out some of my units getting hit by the CC. It does come a little bit down to Night Shield RNG, if I'm honest with you. Versus this guy, you're going to see a lot of times just the last 3-star Knights that I've got left going at it to try and win me the game. You can see here, it's literally just my 3-star Hell Knight and 3-star Dragon Knight trying to win me the game from this position. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm trying to line up my humans to silence his Tsunami Stalker. So you see I'm putting all of my humans in a line right in front of his Tsunami Stalker because I want them to all hit his Tsunami Stalker and silence it. I don't want my Tsunami Stalker, hit the Tsunami Stalker to hit me. Unfortunately, he got away with it and he didn't actually get silence off, even though 3 humans hit him at the very start. It's a little bit RNG like that, which is why I think that having a Pirate Captain in at level 10 would definitely help. We're also now against Nyan Beast, which is, it's been a while since I've had a Nyan Beast game. I have no issues versus Nyan Beast with this composition. I've got a Heart of Tarask Hell Knight. I just don't feel like I'm going to be struggling. But what I do is I put my Lightblade Knight out to the side and my my Tortola Elder out to the side, because Nyan Beast has got an AoE cone attack. So he can actually hit a lot of people in one go. But luckily, I think I'm in a pretty strong spot. I've got a 3-star Dragon Knight, for God's sake. It should be difficult for me to lose this round, and it even should be difficult for me to lose the game. I find a lucky coin, which I put onto my Dragon Knight because it just gives me another kind of a bit of evasion, which will help versus Dwarf Sniper specifically. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to show you the positioning that I worked with for this round. I split my Tortola Elder and Lightblade Knight up so that maybe one of them ends up avoiding the CC. So you can see my Tortola Elder actually avoids the CC here, which is really important because I get 2 big Tortola Elder ultimates off. For some reason, and I don't know how this happened, my Dragon Knight actually got silenced at the start of the round and didn't transform. If anybody can tell me how that happened, that would be great. Unless the Doom literally managed to get his ultimate off ASAP, I don't really know. But yeah, so we ended up winning because essentially the positioning that I had was I want Tortola Elder away from his Tsunami Stalker so I can get 2 waves off, and I want my Lightblade Knight on the other side, so I split my DPS a little bit. And it worked out. We ended up getting the win in a very, very tough high-end lobby because there was a lot of 3-star players and a lot of high-roll players. Probably not as high-rolly as me, but we had a good game, so that's all good.